So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the webinar, and thank you for taking the time to be with us today. I'm Charlotte Albergatis, Director of Membership at KPBS, and on behalf of everyone here at KPBS, thank you for being a member of the station and for donating at the Directors Club level. As our way of showing appreciation for your generous support, KPBS wants to provide opportunities to connect with you through events such as this one today, as well as other Directors Club benefits. We have more Directors Club events in the works and look forward to getting to know more about you and your interests in KPBS. There's a few housekeeping items that I want to share with you. This virtual event features live transcription. If you would like that feature enabled, just select the closed caption button at the bottom of your Zoom window. We also want you to be aware that this webinar is being recorded. And please use the Q&A box to submit any questions you have for today's speaker, Nancy Worlie. The Q&A box is located at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And we will be prioritizing questions placed in the Q&A box and hope to answer as many of them as possible during our time. If you have technical difficulties, you can raise your hand or send a message in the chat box. One of our event staff will do their best to assist you remotely. Okay, we're going to kick things off with some fun poll questions. Here we go. How many years have you been a KPBS member?
We want to hear from everybody.
Yes.
Are you new members? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a year. So long TV wasn't even invented yet. Please select an answer and submit your answer.
And we'll look at those responses and see who makes up our group here today.
All right. I love it. So long TV wasn't even invented yet. 10 plus years. It's amazing. It's
Yes.
amazing. And the next question. Name the KPBS logo item you have or that you use all the time. Is it a shirt, the wine sippy cup, maybe the COVID-19 mask that maybe you're retiring now, a coffee mug? Let us know if you have one and which one you use the most. And the answer, ooh, the wine sippy cup is the winner. Yay. That is cool. That's fun. All right. We have a few more. What is your must-see show on KPBS TV? Are any of them on that list? And do we have answers yet? Nature, yes, the Newshour. All right, Newshour is #1 must see. The highest ranked, I should say. And we have, what, a couple more? What is your must listen to KPBS radio program? Let us know what you must listen to. And the answers, do we have answers yet? Morning edition. Wait with words, wait. All right. And are you familiar with what KPBS Passport is? Please enter your answer. All right, yes, the member benefit that gives us extended access to public television shows. Absolutely. And I think we have one more poll question. What is the Parker Edison Project? It's fairly new, so.
Hey.
You all rocked the house. Yes. I love it. I love it. Great. Thank you for playing along. That was fun. I'm now pleased to introduce Nancy Worlie, KPBS Interim General Manager. Nancy is an alum of SDSU and worked in other media outlets before joining KPBS in 2003. Nancy stepped into the interim GM role in January of this year. Her journey at KPBS started in public relations, moved into the role of communications director, then associate general manager for content and communications for 5 years prior to being named interim general manager. Nancy is the first woman to serve as general manager in KPBS's 60-year history. Today, she's here to share with you what's on the horizon and some insights into the inner workings of KPBS. Please welcome Nancy Worlie.
Thank you so much, Charlotte, for that introduction. And I don't know if all of you saw, I had a little technical difficulties. What would a Zoom meeting be without a little technical challenge here and there? So hopefully my connection stays safe. But I want to thank all of you for being here today. As Charlotte said, I'm Nancy Worlie, Interim General Manager for KPBS. I really do look forward to a time when we can meet all of you in person. But this is exciting because this is our first KPBS Insider event. It's a new series available exclusively to you as members of the KPBS Directors Club. Each quarter, KPBS Insider events will provide you with unique experiences to get to know KPBS people, projects, and programs, and we really hope you enjoy it. So thank you so much for supporting us and for being here today. I'm going to take a little bit of a step back. For those of you that don't know, KPBS was actually born as KEBS in 1960. We were a really small campus-run radio station on what was San Diego City College back then. It's now San Diego State University. 60 years later, KPBS is one of the leading public media stations in the country. And as Charlotte said, there have been 5 general managers in KPBS's history, and I'm honored to be number 6 and the first female. I first want to take a moment and recognize my predecessor, Tom Carlo. Tom was an incredible general manager for KPBS. In his nearly 12 years in that role, the organization grew to 180 full and part-time staff. The news team started at about 15 people and is now close to 50. The audience grew to more than 1.3 million people each week, and operating revenue nearly doubled. During the course of KPBS's 6 decades, we've evolved formats and shifted to meet the needs of the time. You know, we came from humble beginnings and stayed the course, but we were always keeping our service to the audience front and center. And I want to thank Tom for his devotion to KPBS and taking us higher than we thought possible and being a mentor to me. So now that laser focus for the organization has really paid off. KPBS, as I said, is a leader in the nation. We were one of the first to merge radio and television and rebuild our news operation by breaking down those platform silos. We actually celebrated our 60th anniversary last September, and kind of a perfect year to mark our public service. While the world was reeling from the pandemic, the country reached a tipping point on racial justice, and we faced an historic election that feels like it never ended. KPBS really rose to the challenge. We did what we do best. When parents and kids were sheltering at home in the spring, KPBS reinforced our schedule and tailored it for California education standards so that our kids at home could continue to learn. And when the coronavirus was discovered in the United States last March, and citizens needed timely and urgent health and safety information, KPBS News delivered with live daily briefings, updates, and breaking news alerts. When our families were stuck at home, KPBS also streamed amazing programs to help distract us with what was going on the outside. And with the death of George Floyd, it sparked a movement across the country and even right here in our own backyard. But KPBS was there to bear witness. And our citizens also needed to make informed choices on the ballots last fall amongst record voter turnout. But the KPBS voter guide was right there to help make sense of it all. So here we are in 2021. We've got a new general manager at the leadership team. And while this position says interim, there will be a recruitment before the end of the year. But I want you to know my intention is to make this permanent. While I've only been in this position for about 6 months, I have been at KPBS for 18 years, and I am truly invested in its success. To tell my KPBS story requires me to tell you a little bit about my life outside of KPBS. I was born and raised in San Diego. I'm going to close my window here because I hear construction outside. I was born and raised here in San Diego. And as you can see here, my affection for Sesame Street and PBS started when I was about 2 years old. There's my Big Bird birthday cake that my mom made for me. I grew up in East County. I attended San Diego State University, and then I worked in Reno, Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada, Washington, D.C., and communications and commercial news positions. But I always knew I wanted to return to San Diego because it's where my family is. So I joined KPBS in 2003 after getting married and spending about a year in Portland, Oregon. But I have basically raised my kids around PBS. I currently live in El Cajon with my husband and 2 sons. They're active in sports and the theater, and I'm also on the board of Young Actors Theater here in East County. I started, that's an old picture. These are my kids now. I am now officially the shortest one in my family. So don't let that other photo fool you. 2 teenage boys. I started at KPBS in the communications department. I became communications director, and I was in that role for about 10 years. I then served as associate general manager for content and communications for about 5 years before being named interim general manager in January. And in my prior role, I managed news, programming, public and media relations, events, government relations, human resources, and strategic planning. So true to form with the nonprofit, I wore many hats, but I really got to know the organization. I also oversaw the rebrand of KPBS's logo after 27 years, and I oversaw the implementation of what we call our story, which laid out a vision for KPBS back in 2018. So these are just a few of my memories from my 18 years. And it's been an amazing journey so far. One of the best things about KPBS and why I've stayed for so long, and I would guess why so many of our staff have as well. First of all, the people are amazing. And second, every day is different and we get to tackle new and unique challenges. And third, KPBS is a really family-friendly organization. And I greatly appreciated the emphasis that KPBS has put on family time for its employees and the work-life balance. And this was especially relevant during the pandemic when so many of our employees have been working double and triple duty as professionals, caregivers, or teachers to their school-aged children. We're really used now to seeing each other's kids suddenly appear on Zoom screens, and in a way that I think has brought us closer together and understanding each other's experiences. And as California and San Diego begins to reopen, we're once again faced with some uncertainty, but we're tapping into that reservoir of resilience. KPBS, we will remain your source of trusted information and inspiring programs, helping us all to navigate and grow through this change as we move forward. We often get asked what it's like in the day of life at KPBS. So I'm going to take you through that really quickly. So our day begins with our radio news anchor, Deb Welsh. She is the first on the scene. She arrives well before 5 a.m. to study the news, hear what's going on, and prepare to go live for her first newscast at 5:32 a.m. Annika Colbert is in the building by about 5 a.m. each day. She serves as a technical director to help Deb if there's any breaking news that happens, but she also writes, produces, and hosts our daily news podcast, San Diego News Now. We also have an editorial meeting every day at about 9:15 a.m. with our whole news team. And back when we were in the office, the news floor was, busy around 9:15 for that news meeting, but throughout the day, it was relatively quiet because most people were out on assignment. It's actually much quieter than you would think, but it does get progressively louder as we get closer to afternoon deadlines and preparing for evening edition to go live at 5 p.m. The midday edition team prepares for its noon broadcast. They pre-record interviews, but they also do some live. And in fact, that 6-member midday edition team has been producing the show since last April with no major technical failures, and all but one team member have been working from their homes. They've been doing an amazing job. And that's in spite of home Wi-Fi issues, as we all experience. Hello, I just had that earlier this morning. Mid-interview pauses due to noise from barking dogs, cats, garbage trucks, lawnmowers, and all the other unanticipated interruptions that we all kind of become commonplace. But our production teams and our news teams have been doing a great job in delivering that all to you. The news and communication teams post throughout the day on our social accounts. They start at about 8 a.m. and they post until 10 p.m. every single day of the week. Sally Hickson is our afternoon radio anchor, and she comes in at about 2:30 p.m. each day. Her first newscast is 3:32 p.m. and her last newscast of the day is at 6:32 p.m.
Excuse me, Nancy, one of the
Yes.
questions that we might want to
Sure.
take on right now is, how does the news team decide which stories to cover?
Sure. The news team, they go through a process. We have our beat reporters and we have some general assignment reporters in the newsroom. They kind of decide what the top issues are and what we can contribute from KPBS's perspective to those stories, issues that matter, explainers, and things like that. So we don't always have the staff and the resources to cover every single thing that's happening. So it is a process of deciding what those priorities are for our audience, and kind of based on what our audiences have drawn to. But, we tend to gravitate towards, we have our beats of environment, government, politics, the city, arts and culture, education. We kind of fill in those beats, health, science, and technology, those stories that require explanations. And we have expert reporters that specialize in those beats. But then there's also things that happen that our general assignment team will cover, especially for evening edition, our TV newscast. So there are some days where we have to make tough decisions with things that we can't cover because we don't have the time and the resources. But if we're lucky, we get to cover everything that's important for that day. I hope that answers the question. Each day is different. Each day's stories are different, looking at building on stories that happen from a news perspective. If there's ongoing stories that we want to continue to cover to help make sense of it for our audience, those are always really important for us. KPBS tends to not cover some of the more crime-related breaking news, but if there's a trend or if there's a pattern, we kind of go after what the issue is and what those the reasons are behind those. Hope I answered that question.
Sure. I think we did. Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to get back to our day. We talked about the news and communications team that posts to social media every day, and Sally Hickson has our radio newscast. We also have an audience services department that answers our phones and emails throughout the day for questions. And in the case of an emergency, when the public needs to be informed, like immediately because of breaking news, fires, earthquakes, blackouts, we have a station-wide breaking news plan where everybody kind of jumps in and has a role. It's all hands on deck. We've seen this happen in years past when there have been fires and blackouts. We take shifts answering phones, bringing food to support our news staff, going out into the field, editing web, producing updates, and more. So it's really a collective effort that we all kind of rally around. Our engineers and our IT staff are also on hand at all times in case of emergency or just daily operations. They were truly our heroes throughout the pandemic, our engineers and our IT team, because they made sure that all of our staff could effectively work from home, especially our news team and our production team. We've been anchoring our newscasts from people's homes, and most of you listening and watching from home didn't even realize that. So I credit our engineers and our IT team for their brilliant work and making sure that we had the tools and the technologies to do this. And last but finally not least is our evening edition TV newscast. They really start setting up for that production at 3:30, although their planning begins with that morning meeting at around 9 a.m. Evening edition goes live every night at 5 p.m. The 6:30 broadcast is pre-recorded from that 5 p.m. broadcast, although we are on standby in case things break and change. We are ready to go live at 6:30 p.m. if needed. And you can also watch it on our YouTube channel now, the video app and the stream. And a fun fact, the voice behind our radio breaks is Ernie Goyette. This is what he looks like. It's always fun to see the face behind the voice that you hear every day. So that was kind of a snapshot, very briefly, of a day in the life of KPBS. So
Nancy,
there's another questions? Sure.
There's another question that might be good to
Okay.
answer before you move on. From Millie, does the PBS NewsHour reach out to KPBS, or do we submit news to them?
It goes both ways. So if the NewsHour knows that there's a big story that's originating from Southern California or San Diego, as we've seen with the immigration and border stories, especially over this last several years, we've sometimes partnered to make sure that our reporters that are covering it here can provide versions to the NewsHour. If there's something unique that maybe is not on anybody else's radar but our own, if there's an exclusive, we will share that with our system partners, with NPR and with the PBS NewsHour. They may or may not be interested in it. They may assign a national reporter, but there is open lines of communication between KPBS's local newsroom and the NPR news team and PBS's NewsHour team.
Awesome, thank you.
Any other questions?
I think there's a couple, but I think they can, we can
wait till the end.
Yes,
Okay.
we can wait.
All right, so I want to go back to our vision and what the future for KPBS holds. My personal vision and my vision for the organization is to continue to build on our 60-year legacy of excellent local news, highest quality content, and connection with our community. And one of the first projects that my team undertook back in January, we went through a strategic visioning process to refine that vision that we created in 2018. To rest assured that any new vision, I want to assure you that it's not going to alter our commitment that you've already come to expect from us. We will continue to serve the San Diego community with the best and most trusted news and information. We will continue to offer the best in arts and culture, science, documentary films, and local content. And we will continue to cherish the best drama, especially from Masterpiece. And we want to spark dialogue and foster those respectful and civil conversations about current events and the challenges we face together as a community. And that new vision will help set ambitious goals for us so that we can keep evolving, growing, and serving our diverse audiences. And those audiences are savvy. There are expectations that we must meet for the younger generation, like customization and on-demand delivery that will be critical to KPBS's success in the future. We've already started some of those investments in the back-end technology, but we must become a digital-first media organization that serves our audiences with the content they want, when and where they want it. And in order for KPBS to remain thriving in this community, we really need to plan for our future to ensure that our facility and our staff can meet those challenges in the years to come. And the key to that success lies in our new and exciting building. So you can see here, and you see the background of my screen here. You may have already been familiar with this building renovation and expansion project. We actually broke ground the day after the election in November. And we had been raising money and working with campus and a contractor and an architect for a few years prior. We were really excited because this project is going to transform our facilities and expand our community service and local content for the San Diego region. So you see, this is the new front of the building. It will be an exciting showcase at the gateway of SDSU. The redesigned building also features a 6,000 square foot community space. We love to host screenings, community conversations, panel discussions, and other events about important topics. We especially value those in-person events with our audience, supporters like you, and members. And it's the best way to get to know you, ascertain what's working and what we could do better, but also engage with diverse communities to gather great story ideas and sources. And as a public media station, we have this special relationship between KPBS and our members. It's a unique relationship and one that we always see as being strengthened through events. Really, it's also the best way for us to say thank you to all of you in person. And we really look forward to getting back to those in-person events when that space becomes available. As you see in this next slide, our newsroom is going to get a little bit more of an expansion. It was getting a little bit crowded. We had gone from, at the beginning of about 12 years ago, we had about 15 people in our newsroom, and we now have about 50. We also may need to spread out a little bit more for social distancing comfort, and it also allows us the space to grow as we can in the future. You'll see in this next slide, a big part of this renovation is also the update of our technology and equipment. We are going to equip our building with the tools we need to create content on all platforms. And a lot of our equipment is aging in our old building and it's out of service. So this project will help with our transition to the technical infrastructure and transmitter to what they're calling ATSC 3.0, if you've heard about that. It's called the Next Generation TV. And we're adding a digital research lab. It's a space for our staff to research and develop new equipment and new technology so that we are ready to adapt when the time comes. The building and renovation expansion won't be complete until the fall of 2022, but we do have a lot of other exciting things coming up in the short term. I'm going to start with Masterpiece. Masterpiece is actually celebrating its 50th anniversary this year with a new season of excellent programs. I don't know if you saw and tuned into Us, which premiered on Sunday night. It's a two-part adaptation of David Nichols' bittersweet best-selling novel. In September, Ken Burns will be regaling us with his next great series, Muhammad Ali. That's with Ken and Sarah Burns and David McMahon, and it starts on September 19th. It's a multi-part series telling the riveting story of American Idol Muhammad Ali. He challenged America's racial prejudices, religious biases, and notions about what roles celebrities and athletes play in our society. And he also inspired people all over the world with his message of pride and self-affirmation. I'm really excited to see that series. And we're also opening up our new Explore San Diego RFP process this summer. And you will see new content that will come in about a year looking for new local San Diego programs. So that's another exciting thing that we have coming up. On the news side, we now have a dedicated team of a reporter and multimedia producer that's covering our North County area. And my goal is to extend our coverage into areas like South Bay, East County, and the border as we move into the future. I also want to encourage you to sign up for newsletters if you're not on our list already, especially KPBS Arts and The Catch Up, which are my two favorites. And virtual events are working, but I'm telling you, I cannot wait to get back to in-person events, and you will start seeing more in-person events in the fall. Another big project that's happening behind the scenes is we're working on a new kpbs.org website that will make navigation and search functions much easier for you. We're really excited about this, and it will allow our KPBS team to be more flexible in presenting timely and relevant content more quickly and easier. The announcement of the 2021 One Book, One San Diego selection will again take place at the San Diego Union Tribune's Festival of Books at the end of August. And of course, news never ends. We will continue to be there for you. We have been through a lot in the last 15 months. It's a time that feels both like the longest and shortest 15 months at the same time. So this about wraps it up for me and about KPBS, but I want to allow some time for questions from all of you. And I do wish, again, that we could be together in person, but that is not far off. We do see the light at the end of that tunnel. And I look forward to meeting you all in person and when we can do that safely. So thank you so much for listening to me today. And I look forward to answering your questions now. What do we got, Charlotte?
Thank you, Nancy. There's so what is your favorite KPBS show and why, on TV and or radio or both?
Well, my favorite TV program is Nature. My kids and I are animal nuts. My sister works at the San Diego Zoo. Although we haven't as much lately, but we used to go to the zoo about once a week. So we love Nature. That's my personal favorite, but I love all the masterpiece dramas. I loved Atlantic Crossing, which was the recent one about the Queen, or not the Princess of Norway and FDR. So it was a great series, and I haven't started Us yet, but I want to watch that one because I hear that's really good as well. But yeah, my favorite is Nature.
Awesome. And do we know what Carlo is doing in his retirement?
He's got projects. He has a home in Lake Tahoe, and I know he is working on some projects up there at his vacation home. But he goes back between San Diego and Lake Tahoe. So he and I stay in touch. I just talked to him last Friday. We had one of the building milestones is through the construction project, and I invited Tom to join us. They have one of the steel beams that they erect around the front of the new spaces of the construction, and they paint it white, and they allow the staff and the construction and crew to sign it. And so Tom came and signed the building with us, and it was great to see him.
Awesome. So how much money has been raised for the building campaign? And is there a public phase? Any additional donations that you're looking for to finish off the building?
Yes, it's a $50 million project, and we are at about 47.5 million. So we're 2.5 million shy of meeting our goal. There is a mid-level phase that's going on right now as we speak, and there will be a public phase towards the end of the construction project, and that will be in the fall of 2022. And so we will give our community and our audiences a chance to be part of KPBS's future by contributing as part of that public phase. We haven't officially made this public announcement, and we've got an announcement that's coming late summer, early fall that will make this more public. So all of you on this call today are getting that inside information, but know that there will be an opportunity for the public to be a part of this project next fall.
Awesome. Can you talk a little bit about the relationship between KPBS and NPR and PBS?
Sure. It's a sort of like a network affiliate relationship with the commercial networks. You know, we pay dues to PBS and NPR to acquire their programs. We pay dues to PBS every year so that we have access to all their amazing kids content and their primetime programming. And then same with NPR, although NPR is a little bit more a la carte. With PBS, it's you get the whole schedule. With NPR, we can pick and choose some of their programs, although we subscribe to all of their newscast, their main news core daily programs that you hear on KPBS, Morning Edition and All Things Considered. So some of the programs that we do kind of more a la carte programming. But if you hear on KPBS, there are a lot of other sources. You hear Public Radio International as a source, American Public Media, like Marketplace's American Public Media. So there are other content distributors that we acquire programming for radio and for television, in fact. So there are other ways that we acquire. So we have a large, we shouldn't say large, but we have an acquisition budget. We have a dues budget that we pay to PBS and NPR, and then we acquire other programs that we think are relevant and our San Diego audiences appreciate. And I know John Decker, who's our interim general manager for content, is on this call, and he can chime in on the chat, I'm sure, with any clarifications if I'm not accurately representing it. But yeah, PBS and NPR are incredibly important. They have terrific programming, but we do have the means of acquiring content from other sources as well.
Awesome, thank you. Another question is, the community space at the new building looks great. Will organizations be able to use it?
I believe that is part of our plan in the future, and allowing other community organizations to rent that space and utilize that space for their events. So we're kind of waiting to let the dust settle with the construction project and figure out what that process will be. But yes, we hope that our community can take advantage of that space.
Awesome. And then another question, I think this is the last one for now. How many PBS general managers are there across the US, and what is involved in being a general manager?
I don't know that. I mean, there are over 300 stations, public radio and public TV. And John, if you want to chime in on that, I think there's 350 public stations around the country. A lot. And they're small to large. I mean, you've got tiny stations in rural parts of the country, all the way up to big stations in New York and San Francisco and Boston. And, you know, San Diego's market 27 on the TV side. We're a little bit larger on the radio side because of our footprint. We're also really fortunate to be the only station in San Diego. So, you know, we kind of own the Southern California market. In LA, there's a couple stations up there, although they're starting to consolidate. And some of the bigger markets have multiple public stations. They have a separate public radio station, separate from their public TV station. So I think we're incredibly fortunate in San Diego to have it all under one roof. We have the public television side, public radio, the digital side, and our local representation. So it's really important. You know, I think it's really helped us succeed and grow. Being a general manager means a lot of things. It means I need to make sure that we're financially stable, that, you know, we are moving forward in a fiscally responsible way, and that we are generating the revenue that we need and spending it wisely. These are our member dollars that we're spending and investing in. So I need to make sure that we're doing that wisely. And making sure that I'm helping to generate revenue from donors and philanthropists and you know, foundations that we can secure grants from to make sure that we can grow and invest in the future. You know, making sure I'm supporting our staff with the resources that they need to get the job done. And, but it's kind of juggling. I also coordinate with the university. We are a university licensee. We are not our own independent 501c3. So our license is held by San Diego State University and the CSU Board of Trustees. So we are a department of SDSU, and we coordinate and partner with the San Diego State Research Foundation. We use their 501c3 status, but they also help us with our financial administration and our human resources administration. So it's kind of this trifecta of partnerships on campus here that allows us to do what we do successfully.
Awesome. Will members be able to tour the new building?
Oh, yes. We love giving tours. We used to, in our old building, we used to offer tours on a fairly regular basis, and we had volunteer tour guides that walked people through our old station. We really look forward to showing off our new space once it's open. So yes, there will absolutely be tours of the new building.
Awesome. So there is a question for me, what my favorite show is. I love nature also, and Nova on the TV side, as well as Finding Your Roots with Henry Louis Gates. I love watching that show. So we are done with our questions. Thank you, Nancy, for sharing your story and your insights with our valued partners. Before we end, I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out of your schedules to be with us. We hope you enjoyed meeting Nancy and getting an inside look at KPBS. If you would like to know more about the events, programs, or initiatives that Nancy mentioned today, please reach out to membership@kpbs.org. They will be able to provide answers for you. And to explore all that your Directors Club membership has to offer, visit kpbs.org/directors-club. We've put a link. I believe we're going to put a link in the chat box for you, and watch your email for announcements about future Directors Club activities. Our next KPBS Insider event will take place this fall. We look forward to connecting with you then. We really do appreciate your support. As members, you're an important part of keeping KPBS strong. So thank you for attending, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Nice to meet you, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Bye, everyone.